You're welcome. On News Hour tonight, APC presidential hopeful Bola Tinubu visits Zamfara State as Deputy Governor challenges Governor Matawale to resign. 3,000 IDPs in Kaduna want military formation established. Former political appointees in Adamawa demand payment of over 700 million naira entitlement. And on the foreign scene, Sudanese protesters take to the streets to reject UN bid to facilitate talks between factions. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Now the news in detail. Former Governor of Lagos State and APC national leader Bola Tinubu is in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital, to condole with the people and government over the recent killings of dozens in Bukuyum and Anka local government areas by bandits. Governor Bello Matawale received the visiting APC presidential hopeful.
Our nation, the territorial of this nation will be protected by all nations. Let's keep Nigeria united, regardless of your tribe, is a national. Definitely, against no matter what anybody says, if the second short memory, I would say this, no leader like you want to bring blood to you do everything possible to stop this. But evil men will continue to be evil until the kingdom comes, until the end of life. But we will strongly continue to support him and be with Nigeria.
Zamfara State Deputy Governor Mahadi Gusau has accepted the challenge to tender his resignation alongside that of the State Governor Bello Muhammad, who swore with the Holy Quran to relinquish his position at a press conference in the government house. In a statement issued by the State Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Abba Bello, while reacting to the governor's statement that the only reason stopping him from resigning from his position as the governor is the constitutional provision that will automatically transfer power to his deputy, described the governor's utterances as mere grandstanding and another attempt to further play on the collective intelligence of Zamfara people. The deputy governor expressed readiness to tender his resignation alongside that of the governor as his own sacrifice towards bringing an end to the prevailing state of misrule that has become the hallmark of the administration. Mahadi Gusau further advised the governor to concentrate on planning his life after retirement, which is fast approaching. We are now being joined by Dr. Hussaini Adamu. Good evening and welcome to News Hour. Now, let's start talking about the situation in Zamfara. It is now a center of attraction since the killings of dozens of people by bandits in Bukuyum and Anka local government area. Now, the APC Governors Forum visited the federal government, also sent a delegation on condolence mission. Today, the APC's leader and presidential hopeful, that's Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is visiting to condole with the people. What is your take on all of this?
Okay, thank you very much. By the way, my name is Hussaini Abdul. Well, I think Zamfara has become a major political attraction for the last few years. One, as a result of the spate of violence in the state, like what the Nigerian popular press like to refer to as banditry. And then we have also seen a major political activity within the states in the last elections, where that probably did not do that well, eventually took over the political leadership of the state from the lowest to the highest as a result of some of the uh, internal crises of what the ruling party at that time. And only for within a very short time, that same government became from his party to the ruling APC. And therefore, Singapore has reached a political boiling point in the last few years. And what we are seeing today is a reflection. It's a reflection. I think Tinubu's visit is still part of trying to ingrain himself to the politics of the country and also win acceptance across the different segments of the country. We saw him recently declare his interest, of course, or probably telling us that he has been in position with the president and he has told the president about his ambition of running for the presidency. And therefore, going to Zamfara in the face of the crisis the state is experiencing is not only going to condone with it, but also trying to also introduce himself to that political space and probably seeking support of the political leadership and the different consequences of that area.
Okay, now the feud between Governor Matawale and his deputy, where the deputy challenged the governor to resign with him within 3 days, in this situation, could this be responsible for the failure of the state government to address insecurity in that particular state?
Actually, when politics actually reach a very significant boiling point, like the one we are dealing with, every problem within that political entity or formation, people will always spread that allegation that this one is responsible or the other one is responsible for it. The crisis in that state has been there since probably 2009 to 2010. And we have seen that escalating gradually to where we are today. And therefore, when people are playing this kind of dangerous politics, it is very easy to accuse your opponent of being responsible for whatever problem the state is experiencing. And that is what we have seen between these two major parties. The deputy governor is in PDP. He had not followed his principal, the governor, to decamp to APC. And of course, whatever happened, if the governor gets out for whatever reason, the immediate beneficiary will actually be the deputy governor. And sure, the way it is, it's clear that the governor will pick the APC ticket to run for the next gubernatorial election. And the way it sounds, it's also clear that the deputy governor will pick the PDP ticket. And therefore, it's a contention between the two parties, and everyone is actually trying to present a different image to the public of Zamfara state. And so the major problem the state is experiencing is this massive insecurity. And therefore, when you accuse the other of being responsible for this problem, then I think it is just plain politics with the crisis that people are experiencing.
Okay, now just one more question before we wrap up. Now, when you compare government's efforts vis-a-vis, the mayhem being unleashed by bandits, would you say the government is actually winning the war against banditry and insurgency?
Surely not winning the war. And if the government were winning the war, probably we would have seen better, more positive progression in terms of how we are managing the challenges. Yes, for instance, the insurgency in the northeast of the country is a different ballgame entirely, and that one is directly linked to the spate of Islamic militancies that we have seen around the world, or what the world like to describe as terrorism. And that's a different thing. And the one in the northwest, particularly where Zamfara is the epicenter, is a completely different ballgame. I think what we have seen in the last 10 years of that crisis is a total failure of the state. and whether it's the federal government or it's the state government, there's a no properly defined response to that particular crisis. And some of us involved in this conversation, we sometimes feel like, is it that the government did not actually understand what it is dealing with, the challenges, or how to respond to it, or what could be responsible? Are there other levels of complicity that has not been properly unearthed that is actually allowing for this kind of thing to continue unabated? What happened in the last few days? Almost 200 people killed in one night is totally unacceptable. And therefore, for me, the state and the federal government had not done enough to deal with this issue. And this has strong implication, not only for Zamfara state, but for the entire country, because this region is a very big food producing zone. And for those of us who are involved in development, we knew that the crisis in this region is impacting significantly on food security in the country. And if we don't respond to it, it's going to be more massive than it actually is currently is. It's reducing the faith of citizens on the government, that the government has failed them. And therefore, it is really, really important to do more than this. And playing politics with this would rather exacerbate the situation. Because for me, it's an insult on the people and the citizens who are experiencing this kind of insecurity, where political contenders, we accuse each other of being the responsible for something that people know it is deeper than politics.
In this case, how do you think the people can defend themselves? Are you in support of them, arming themselves?
I wouldn't support that people arm themselves. I would not say that people should take laws into their own hands. That wouldn't help anybody. It wouldn't help them, and it will not even help the government in the long run, because whoever gets armed will probably not drop the arm, and you don't know whoever will take arm now to defend himself, whether he will also not use the same arm in to also attack or as a means of aggression against other people. I think for me, what we would demand is that people should create some level of awareness, better organizations, ways of sharing information, early warning system being properly set up, and then there should be more swifter, more proper reaction on the side of the government. I think the way things are, basically the military reaction is area bombardment of some of the locations of this bandit. There has not been any significant boots on the ground in some of those key locations. I think that is what they need to do, that they need to mobilize and put more boots on the ground. But we recognize that Nigeria is facing a very significant challenge in terms of men and women of the armed forces. They are overstretched. The level of insecurity in the country is massive, and we have our military men and women in almost all the states of the federation. And then we have a very huge challenge that we're dealing with in the last 12 years also in the northeast of the country. So probably there are not enough men and women that will actually put boots on the grounds of some of those locations. But we need to find a solution to it, because what is happening in the northwest has now become the major national emergency. Is a major national emergency, and probably more urgency than even what is happening in the northeast at the moment. And so if the military will have to mobilize to go in and deal with that, because what is happening in the northwest is less ideological, and therefore with proper boots on the ground, you are able to close that much quicker than actually what is happening in the northeast of the country. So I think that is a national emergency, and it is important to deal with it, but I will not encourage citizens to carry arms to defend themselves, because that itself would be undermining the state.
All right, thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Hussein Abdu, beg your pardon, on News Hour today. His former country director, Action Aid. Now, moving on to more news. A group championing the cause of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo in Kwara State asks APC leader Bola Tinubu to throw in the towel for the vice president to contest in 2023. Tinubu on Monday informed President Buhari of his intention to contest the election. Another group, however, is rallying support for former Senate President Bukola Saraki to get the position and turn around the fortunes of the country. The report.
It is carnival-like at the entrance of the palace of the Emir of Ilorin when the group canvassing for the candidature of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo to vie for the presidency stormed the palace to seek the blessings of the monarch. Emir of Ilorin, Ibrahim Sulu Gambari, received the team and prayed for the best man to emerge at the end of the day. The group believes that Professor Yemi Osinbajo has the capacity and qualities to lead the country, asking Bola Tinubu to throw in the towel for the vice president.
We are rooting for humility. We are rooting for competence. We are rooting for economic emancipation. We are rooting for better foreign relations. We are rooting for better education. We are rooting for youth and women empowerment. We are rooting for a society where you and I can be proud to call ourselves Nigerians. And we want a Nigerian president. We are not interested in we're not interested in where anybody is coming from, but we're looking at the competence, the ability to deliver. If you can recall your mind back, when our president Muhammadu Buhari went on treatment abroad sometime, he formally handed over to Osinbajo. Within that 6 months, Nigerians had a breath of fresh air. And people were so happy because he brought in policies within that 120 days, of what actually we could feel like we have a president.
Elsewhere in Ilorin, the Forum for Former State Legislators in Kwara enumerates qualities Bukola Saraki possesses that qualify him to rule the country. The group urges the PDP members across the country to endorse his candidature.
It is the pleasure of our forum, the PDP ex-lawmakers of the Kwara State House of Assembly, to speak with you today in support of the presidential ambition of the former president of the Senate in the 8th legislature, Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki, CON, the Waziri of Ilorin. We are gratified that our state, Kwara, is in the north-central geopolitical zone of the dear nation, and he has received the endorsement of the states therein. From time immemorial, since the country launched itself into presidential system of government in the Second Republic, we in Kwara, Kogi, Niger, Benue, Plateau, Nasarawa, and FCT have always played significant role. From time immemorial, since the country launched itself into presidential system of government in the Second Republic, we in Kwara, Kogi, Niger, Benue, Plateau, Nasarawa, and FCT have always played significant role in whoever had won the presidency.
National convention of both PDP and APC will hold later this year, and presidential candidates of the parties will be picked for Nigerians to decide who to vote for.
Nearly 3,000 internally displaced persons from Chikun local government areas of Kaduna State want government to establish military units and police barracks around their communities so that they can be protected against activities of bandits. The internally displaced persons made the appeal to the government at the Goningora and Kujama IDP camps when Chikun Local Council stakeholders paid them a visit. The report.
These are the victims of attacks by gunmen. They came from different villages seeking refuge in Kujama, Mararabandrido, Goningora, among other communities. Reverend Bulus Kamu, a victim of the attack who is coordinating 8 IDP camps in Kaduna, said that most are in need of food, clothing, and healthcare services, calling on the government to come to their aid.
Responded were over 3,000 people. So what we intend to do, in fact, we have to go across Goningora to get gari for them. Could you believe me that 3 bags, they drank it dried because of the hunger. They were very hungry. I was even asking somebody to go and bring water before I know 3 bags is gone. Because in fact, there are people that are sleeping on trees, sleeping on mountains. sleeping beside the rivers. In fact, it's not easy. Even my house, over 2 years now, they are camping here.
Richard John, councillor of Kakao Ward in Chikun, appeals to the government to beef up security in the affected communities so that they can go back to their villages to pursue their legitimate businesses.
Kaduna State government, police, we need more security. If you go to Kakaudaji, Kaso, Kashebo, there is not any single man living there. And all those places are the places that our people are farming. We see someone will get a bag of corn 130. Someone, I was in the palace right now. There's someone needs help from security men to go and help them remove their farm product. Over 60 bags, but no way.
Ezra Sule, who narrowly escaped from an attack, narrates his ordeal.
Some people that they shoot them, which is they take them from hospital, and definitely some we lost them. Even though to have a food to eat is very difficult, talk less to have money to spend. Well, kidnapped people just come at once in the evening time, like they're around 3. So they come that area, seriously they finish that area. Even the church, they burn the church, take less of the houses. And there's some food items, they burn all of this. And there's some people that they were running, so they catch them. Some people might we even find them after the day.
Member representing Chikun constituency in the Kaduna State Assembly, Ayuba Chawaza, said that he will continue to facilitate relief materials for the internally displaced persons from government agencies and well-meaning individuals to alleviate their suffering.
Either empowerment program, come up with health services program, come up even with other non-governmental organizations, and also the philanthropists, as many people can reach out both home and abroad to come into our aid so that these people can have a better life.
Chikun has recorded series of bandit attacks, displacing many residents from their homes.
Bloodletting returns in some Plateau communities despite signing peace agreement in recent past. Trust TV's Ado Musa reports. Bandits have invaded Teshar Maitashi in Dutang Aba ward of Zaria local government area and abducted 10 residents. Reports say the bandits in their numbers invaded the village around midnight on Wednesday with sophisticated weapons, shooting sporadically before house-to-house search for their victims. Reports say the porous Galadima forest is alleged to be hosting most of the bandits terrorizing Zaria, Giwa and Bernangwari. Recall that Dusang Aba ward in Zaria is alleged to be a kidnapper's den in the last 1 year, with all the banditry attacks recorded in Zaria emanating from the axis. Prominent businessman dealing in cars and other vehicles at Aminchi Motors, Gusau, Zamfara State, Aminu Baba has opened up on his nefarious activities, including eating and selling human parts to some unknown persons. The suspect told journalists shortly after being paraded by the State Police Commissioner, Ayuba Elkana, that he has 3 wives and 19 children. The police arrested Baba last week over the killing and dismemberment of a 9-year-old boy in Gusau. According to him, he employed 2 teenagers to scout for young boys to kill for him, and they had done that twice, getting 1 million naira in return. However, he kept mum about where he raised the money he used to pay the killers and also did not disclose whether he had collaborators in the state. The police commissioner said the other suspect, Abdul Shakur Muhammad, also confessed he has been contracted for the 3rd time by Baba to source for human parts and got 500,000 naira after the 1st and 2nd operations before his arrest. Sector Commander, Federal Road Safety Corps, Bauchi State Command, Yusuf Abdullahi, has confirmed the death of 7 people in a fatal crash that occurred on Thursday at Hakayaki village, close to Buzaye, Nabordo town along Bauchi-Jos Road. Abdullahi, who confirmed the sad incident, said 2 other people sustained various degrees of injuries in the crash involving a Toyota Hiace bus and a Sharon bus, which eventually went up in flames, attributing the crash to speed violation, which resulted into a head-on collision. The sector commandant appealed to motorists to adhere to speed limit regulations. Items recovered from the crash included 6 phones and a sum of 109,090 naira cash, among others. Twitter users react to lifting of ban on the social media platform about 7 months after Nigerian government banned the usage of Twitter in the country following a tweet by President Buhari warning secessionists, which was deleted. The government removed the suspension following an agreement between the authorities and Twitter management, and this comes after many businesses suffered loss due to the unavailability of social media platforms to advertise or carry out their business activities. Trust TV's Chijoke Okafor reports.
2021 to 13th January 2022, the usage of Twitter in Nigeria stood still, following a government ban placed on the social media platform. The ban occurred after Twitter deleted tweets made by the Nigeria's president, Muhammadu Buhari, warning the southeastern people of Nigeria, predominantly Igbo people, of a potential repeat of the 1967 Biafran Civil War due to the ongoing insurgency in northeastern Nigeria. However, barely 3 days after the ban, it was reported that the ban had cost the country over 6 billion naira. This is in addition to other private business entities that have gone almost bankrupt as a result of the ban. Samuel Ajako runs a business that leverages on the power of social media to gain popularity amongst potential clients, especially Twitter. He explains that the lifting of the ban is a welcomed development, only that it is coming months after some businesses have almost been run down.
Okay, so it affected us in 2 ways, and I'll just give you a summary of those two. The first one is we had a big problem convincing investors that Nigeria is a country to invest in, because with the policy that was passed of banning Twitter, it affected how startups in Nigeria showcased their businesses, how we were able as venture capital firms to track these businesses and ensure that they are actually productive enough. So it affected, we had to struggle to convince investors that Nigeria is still a market to invest in. The second thing there that it did for us here, it was difficult for us, like I mentioned, to track such businesses. We found it difficult to interact with such businesses. Facebook and the other social media is not as reputable as that of Twitter. A lot of persons who are diligent in their business use Twitter to communicate and also reach out to their customers. So it did affect. We had some complaints filed into those businesses that we have under our portfolios.
On 12th January 2022, the Nigerian government lifted the ban after Twitter agreed to pay an applicable tax and establish a legal entity in Nigeria during the first quarter of 2022. This, some say, would help create employment opportunities in the country.
To me, I think maybe it's because of the election coming up, so they need to use the platform to, do some campaigns and everything. So, but this is a good one. Well, to an extent, I would say they don't have their what they call it, people at heart, because if this thing happens, they've not corrected it, they've not done any reform to say, okay, that because of this is why we shut down this platform, the things that led to this, have they addressed it? They've not addressed it. They've not really put in something that we can say, yes, they actually went for because of what we protested against, and
Twitter is popular with many Nigerians, especially the younger generation. The social media platform has been used as a mobilizing tool for activism. Some influencers and activists capitalized on the power of Twitter to rally support during the hashtag #EndSARS protest back in 2020. Chijoke Okafor, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, crime fight gets a big boost. Do stay with us.
Recently, you made 2 statements which have been making the rounds. The kind of leader we need in the future come the next election. Somebody said probably in his 60s, and I think you added that you can even pick out 1 or 2 names of people who you think fit into this vision you have of a younger person. People are curious. They already debate. Who do you have in mind?
It's not who do I have in mind, but who fit in. Any person who fits in within those criteria, then he is the right person, as long as he is a Nigerian. He is a politician. He is not old like I am. He is very conversant with the country. He communicates. He's a very good communicator. He should be able to communicate to the person, because a president should be able to walk into a group of people and talk to them on issues concerning Nigeria. Not all the time, but most of the time. I set a table wide that he must have somebody he knows in every part of the country. It's not a tall order.
Welcome back. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at some of our top stories. You heard that former governor of Lagos State and APC national leader Bola Tinubu is in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital, to condole with the people and government over the recent killings of dozens in Bukuyum and Anka local government area by bandits. And nearly 3,000 internally displaced persons from Chikun local government areas of Kaduna State want government to establish military units and police barracks around their communities so they can be protected against activities of bandits. Moving on to more news, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency on Thursday announced 395 new cases of circulating mutant poliovirus type 2 across 27 states and the Federal Capital Territory, barely 16 months after the World Health Organization certified Nigeria wild poliovirus free. The Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Faisal Shuaib, announced this in a press statement. He said the agency traced the outbreak on the suspension of immunization programs due to the COVID-19 pandemic, adding that it further created new immunity gaps which have led to new outbreaks. Shuaib further explained that malnutrition occasioned by increase in poverty is also a predisposing factor in exposed children. Recall that WHO and partners in August 2020 declared Nigeria certified wild poliovirus free after the country reported its last case of the wild poliovirus in 2016. Still on health, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control says it has alerted the authorities on the disturbing trend of Lassa fever outbreak in the country. In its latest situation report on the disease, the agency revealed that a cumulative 510 confirmed cases, while a total of 102 infected people died from the disease in 17 states across the country in 2021, with a case fatality rate of 20%. These cases were reported in some hotspots areas such as Ondo, Edo, Bauchi, Kaduna and Taraba states and the Federal Capital Territory, with 7 states recording at least one confirmed case across 68 local government areas.
So for the 2021-2022 season, through the leadership of our DG, we are currently we're using the One Health approach, targeted One Health approach. That means we have the Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Agri on board together with our partners, so as to be able to strengthen food safety measures and also environmental sanitation, which is key for Lassa fever prevention. We've intensified our risk communication through the different channels, press briefs, media appearances. We've also supported states in intensifying surveillance activities. So what we do every year before any season is to send out alert and advisory letter to the office of the DG, to the state ministries, to the state commissioners, attentioning the state epidemiologists in the public health departments, which is the department that is responsible for the response. So what we do is to advise them on what to do for procurement activities, to sensitize their healthcare workers, to procure all that needs to be procured, and to also intensify risk communication activities, especially in their local languages. What we have also do is to integrate the ongoing, the response with the ongoing pandemic. COVID has been with us, COVID is still with us, and a lot of healthcare workers, we know are kind of fatigue. There is burnout of healthcare workers. Well, what we do is to send national response teams to support the state, especially when the state is a bit overwhelmed with the multiple outbreaks that are going on. So we send a multidisciplinary response team to the states to support them. The factors that drive this high number of cases during the dry season would include bush burning activities in preparation for the next farming season. So this tends to displace the rodents from their natural habitats to the homes. And also drying of foodstuffs at the roadside. So as you drive around the country now, you see lots of foodstuffs, grains being dried by the roadside. So in the process of this drying, the rodents can contaminate the foodstuffs, and then when it is consumed, the person can become infected. And the other thing is poor harvesting and storage. Facilities. So if the crops are not well stored, the rodents can have access and contaminate them.
Former commissioners and political appointees in Adamawa State during the administration of Governor Jibril Bindo have filed a suit at the National Industrial Court demanding payment of over 700 million naira as outstanding entitlement from Governor Amadou Fintiri. In two separate suits, the former commissioners are demanding 371 million naira, while other categories of appointees are put their entitlement at 340 million naira. The report.
Here at this court, former political appointees who served Adamawa State government under the immediate past administration of Governor Jibril Bindo of the All Progressive Congress have come to witness the hearing of their suit at the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, Yola branch. At the hearing, Umar Bindu, who served as secretary to the Adamawa State government in that dispensation, is standing as principal witness for 16 cabinet members in their suit against the Adamawa State government over the non-payment of their severance package. They want the court to compel the Adamawa State government to settle their unpaid outstanding entitlement, amounting to 371 million naira. But these cabinet members are not alone in this cause. They are being joined by another category of political appointees, made up of special advisors and personal assistants. 34 of them are demanding the settlement of their outstanding emoluments, totaling 340 million naira, according to court records. Former Chief Press Secretary to Governor Jibril Bindo, Matthias Yohana, is the lead witness in the case.
Amounts involved vary. The claims for the respective cabinet members is about 23 million naira for each of the cabinet members that are involved in the suit. For the special advisors, depending on whether a special advisor or senior special advisor, but it ranges from 9 million, between 9 million and 12 million for each of them. And there are 34 of the special advisors that have not been paid, that at least have come to court. For the cabinet members, there are 17 of them. Others possibly might have been paid, or maybe have not been paid, have slept on their rights, but these are the people that come to court. So for the cabinet members, the former cabinet members between 2015 and 2019, 17 of them, each of them would compute at 23 million naira roughly per head, times 17. For the special advisors and senior special advisors and personal assistants, it ranges from between 9 million and 12 million, multiply that by 34. So that gives you the figures we're talking about here.
Why do you resort to court?
Well, because we wrote several letters to the government of Adamawa State. We wrote congratulating an incoming government. We wrote asking that parties should sit down and resolve this. We were in court several times. The court asked that parties should sit down and negotiate. We've written several letters to the chambers of the Attorney General and the government of Adamawa State, and nobody has been forthcoming. So the court for us is the last hope.
Actually, demanding for their payment. The problem is, when this government came on board, they were not fully settled when they wrote a demand letter. And after the demand letter, they contemporaneously filed the action. They filed it in Abuja. So we told the court, we raised some objection that, okay, since all the parties are here, the subject matter is here, they serve this government here. It's more convenient for all of us, including them, that the matter be decided here, since they are sitting courts. So that's why the matter was brought. Now, labor matters actually is advisable for that parties settle. Some of the claims are statutory, so it is not deniable.
Nigerian government has procured about 200 combat vehicles and other equipment to help strengthen its war against crime. President Muhammadu Buhari commissioned the operational equipment at the police force headquarters in Abuja, saying that government is very positive that the equipment will augment strategies by the nation's security forces to rid the country of insecurity. Trust TV's Sagir Ibrahim has the details.
As part of efforts to combat crime and the rising rate of insecurity in the country, the Nigerian police force has taken delivery of about 200 guerrilla combat trucks, over 100,000 combat helmets and combat vests, among other tactical equipment. Speaking during the commissioning of the equipment at the force headquarters in Abuja, President Muhammadu Buhari, who was represented by the Minister of Police Affairs, Megari Dingyadi, called on the police force to make adequate use of the equipment in its ongoing fight against crime.
I am convinced that the Inspector General of Police and his management team will commit officers and men of Nigerian police to reciprocate government's efforts through judicious and effective use of these facilities for improvement of Nigerian security architecture, as government will not condone any act of abuse and malhandling of the facilities provided from very limited resources.
He also called on the force to continue to maintain the highest level of professionalism as they discharge their duties.
I therefore urge officers and men of Nigerian police force to continue putting in their best in the discharge of their duties and to adopt a holistic internal security mechanism in the country so as to ensure the provision of conducive environment needed to boost operations of Nigerian police force and by extension and place a more peaceful and safe country for economic buoyancy and the improved livelihood for the citizenry.
Also speaking was the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund, Ahmed Aliyu, who appreciated the President and the National Assembly for their support towards ensuring that the fund fulfills its mandate.
I will not conclude this without once again thanking Mr. President for not only ensuring that the MPF bill reached the fruition of becoming an act, but to also thank Mr. President for supporting the board and the management in ensuring that we move closer day in, day out in achieving the objectives of the trust fund.
On his part, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali, pledged the commitment of the force to continue its partnership with the Police Trust Fund towards the actualization of its mandate.
We will continue to partner with the Trust Fund and we will not relent in our rendering any form of assistance and support to ensure that the Nigeria Police Trust Fund maintains the momentum while achieving its laudable objectives to the satisfaction of Nigerians.
Alkali also added that the newly procured equipment will enhance the operational capacity of the force to face the problems of banditry, kidnapping, terrorism and other vices head-on.
With the launch of these critical operational assets, our operational capacity shall be enhanced well enough to address current challenges of banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery, and sundry violent crimes that have been threatening our nation in recent times. even though there is room for improvement. I call on all Nigerians, corporate bodies, multinational organizations to key into the goals of the Trust Fund to enable it accomplish its mission.
Behind me are some of the 200 guerrilla vehicles which were commissioned by the representative of the President of Nigeria, that's the Minister of Police Affairs, Megari Dingyadi. According to the Executive Secretary of the Police Trust Fund, over 8 billion naira was spent to procure the vehicles as well as 100,000 helmets and combat vests as well as other equipment which are expected to be deployed across the 36 states of the Federation to enhance the fight against crime, criminality and other vices in the country. Sagir Ibrahim reporting for Trust TV.
New Assistant Inspector General of Police Lawan Jimeta has assumed duty as the 27th AIG in charge of Zone 5 Police Headquarters, which comprises of Edo and Delta States. Trust TV correspondent in Benin City, Nafisa Bello, who captured the handing over ceremony, completes the report.
Just Lord!
The newly deployed Assistant Inspector General of Police, in charge of Zone 5 Command Police Headquarters, which comprises of Edo and Delta States, AIG Lawan Tanko Jimeta, inspecting the guards of honor on arrival, with officers and men of the zone on ground to receive him. Speaking with newsmen after the handing over ceremony, the outgoing AIG, Abdurrahman Ahmed, appealed to all to cooperate with the new AIG in order to achieve greater success in the area of curbing crime in the zone.
Now that I am moving, I am calling on the good citizens of the two states to cooperate with the new Assistant Inspector General of Police, Lawal Tanko Jimeta, PSC. Is an experienced police officer who worked across the sections and departments of the force and also partook in, peacekeeping operation outside the country. He is an excellent officer, my classmate, my friend and brother, and I'm sure they will get the good leadership they deserved.
On his part, the new AIG, Lawan Tanko Jimeta, promised to put his vast experience to use, adding that with the support and cooperation of officers and men of the zone, as well as members of the public, the zone is sure to record success. AIG Jimeta also used the opportunity to warn against corrupt practices, as he will not be lenient on any erring officer.
I will not be merciful to any officer that is found to be corrupt. My call to all officers now in Zone 5 is to wake up, to be diligent, and also to serve humanly. They should shun corruption in whatever form it comes, and also make sure that they respect human rights and do things professionally.
Prior to his deployment, the police chief has held various positions in the force, which include being the 41st Commissioner of Police, Edo State Command, Commissioner of Police, Bauchi State Command, and the Commandant, the Nigerian Police Academy, Wudil, Kano State. Nafisa Bello, Trust TV News.
Kano commercial tricycle operators suspend 3-day-old strike. In an earlier interview, Trust TV's Idris Jibrin gives an update.
The latest here in Kano, like you know, for the past 4 days, the Association of Tricycle Riders started a strike over what they call operating permits, which the Kano State Roads and Traffic Agency normally used to collect the renewal of the permits. Now, yesterday they called off the strike, and today, like you can see, they are back on the streets doing their business of tricycle operation. But this suspension of the strike is only temporary, because they said they are suspending it for 1 week, because the government says they should come back and continue doing their businesses for a period of 1 week. Pending that period of 1 week, the government will announce the new situation, either to reduce the renewal fees, or they will either continue collecting the normal price of the fees that they are collecting. So the tricycle riders have agreed to come back on the streets to continue doing their businesses while waiting for the government to announce the next line of action. So in other words, negotiation between the Association of Tricycle Riders and Kano State government is ongoing to find a lasting solution to this kind of situation on ground. Mind you, tricycle seems to be the only means of transportation in Kano where millions of people are benefiting in traveling from one place to another within the metropolitan city of Kano. So as of today, they are back on the streets and they have continued doing their normal businesses.
We'll be back after this break.
The Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, RIFAN, in collaboration with the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, will unveil world's largest rice pyramid in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. The event is scheduled to take place on the 18th of January 2022. Venue, Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Trade Fair Complex, Airport Road, Abuja. The pyramids will be unveiled by the special guest of honor and President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari. Other special guests that will support are the presidents of Benin Republic, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon, as well as the governors of Cross River, Ebonyi, Kebbi, Jigawa, Ekiti, and Sokoto states. Chairman of the occasion, CBN Governor Dr. Godwin Emefiele, Chief Host, FCT Minister. RIFAN will also use the occasion to flag off its 2021-2022 dry season farming activities and celebrate the annual National Rice Festival. RIFAN has been the major driver of rice value chain under the Anchor Borrowers program for the past 6 years. Come and join us in celebrating Rice Revolution in Nigeria. Let's celebrate our President Muhammadu Buhari's initiative on food security and self-sufficiency in rice. Let's celebrate the Central Bank Governor, Dr. Godwin Emefiele, RIFAN, the driver of Rice Revolution in Nigeria. Announcer, Publicity Committee.
Welcome back to News Hour. Despite abundance of liquefied petroleum gas, popularly known as cooking gas, which experts say is capable of generating over 100,000 megawatts of electricity, the rising cost of the product has forced some LPG users to shift to charcoal or firewood as consumers of the commodity raise an alarm over the persistent hike in price. Trust TV's Fatima Musa speaks to some consumers on the price of cooking gas.
While reacting to the recent marginal drop in the cost of cooking gas, the federal government noted it was putting measures in place to ensure further reduction in the cost of liquefied petroleum gas, popularly called cooking gas. According to findings, the price of 12.5 kg LPG has dropped from 8,800 to between 8,400 and 8,200. In some outlets, the price of the commodity dropped between 7,800 and 8,000. The product had increased by 240% for 12.5 kg, moving up from 3,000 to 10,200 within the first 10 months of the year 2021. Sometime last year, there was a huge increment of gas price in the market. The average price of cooking gas is 750 naira per kg in Nigeria. At least this is what the retailers sell in the black market, and is subject to change due to fluctuation of price over time. We are here to find out what the current price of gas is and also to hear the views of people who use gas within the FCT.
Well, the price increase has really affected people going by the income that people are earning. Like way back, we used to buy a kilogram for about 340 something naira. And now it has doubled the price. So I mean, everybody is feeling the brunt of the increase. I feel the government should be able to regulate the price and drop it down for the masses to be able to actually afford to buy gas and use in their homes.
Honestly speaking, the price is so high. It's on the higher side. In fact, I remember the last time I bought my gas at the rate of 8,500. Honestly speaking, the country has gone to something else. And right now as I speak to you, I'm thinking of going back to charcoal. Maybe I will start using charcoal since the bag of charcoal now is 3,005. And the gas, honestly speaking, I don't think I can really make it. Yeah, because you cook in the morning, afternoon and evening. So you can see If we are to go on that price, I don't think I can cope. We usually buy gas at the rate of 4,500, later increase to 5,000, 6,000. So going for that higher rate, honestly speaking, is still on the higher side.
As of the gas, every day is just going up. The price is just inflating every day. We don't have choice now to keep using it because that is the only option we have. Even the light is not stable for us to use it.
But there was
for the federal government, if they can reduce the price, it will help the society because many people are complaining. Even we ourselves, we are complaining. But when you don't have choice, you don't have anything to do than to buy. But some people buy out of pain. But if they can reduce the price, we'll be satisfied with it. Let it come a bit low. But even those that are using kerosene, they're still complaining. So the gas and everything is just high.
According to some gas users, there is need for the federal government to address this issue with urgency. And some are hopeful that maybe the price may come down a bit more so that they may be able to afford it. Fatima A. Musa, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Moving on to foreign scene, protesters in Sudan have taken to the streets to demand a return to civilian rule. Ibrahim Yusuf has details of this and more.
Sudanese security forces fired tear gas at thousands of protesters heading towards the presidential palace on Thursday to demonstrate against an October coup. The demonstrators, which converged from several parts of Khartoum, came only days after the United Nations launched a bid to facilitate talks between Sudanese factions. The push is aimed at resolving the crisis since the October 25th military coup led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and the resignation of the civilian Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok earlier this month. Security forces fired volleys of tear gas to disperse the protesters. Pro-democracy activists have organized regular demonstrations against the military takeover, which derailed a transition to civilian rule following al-Bashir's ouster. A general strike by public transportation and labor unions has paralyzed Lebanon as the country suffers one of the worst economic crises in the world. Thursday's strike comes as the country's ruling class has continued to do almost nothing to try and pull the country out of its meltdown rooted in decades of corruption and mismanagement.
With this, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.